Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee, and for today's assignment, I chose Sara Mardini as my social activist. Sara Mardini is a Syrian activist that escaped the Syrian civil war when violence had escalated to a mass massacre. When the bombings in Syria had become more frequent and had hit Sara's sister Yusra's swim meet with the entire family in attendance, coupled with additional violent factors, the sisters began to beg their family to leave for Germany in promise of the German family reunion visa. The sisters then left Damascus for Germany, along with their cousin Nizar, in hopes that they can each gain the visa for them and their families. The three flew from Syria to Turkey, then used smugglers to obtain a bus ride to the coastline and a boat ride across the Aegean Sea. Sara, along with her sister and cousin, and about 18 other refugees from other countries, were crammed into a patched-up inflatable raft with a rundown motor that barely functioned. During their trip, the motor stops through the middle of the night while water rushes into the raft. To relieve the overcrowded raft of some of its weight, Sara jumps into the sea with a rope tied around her waist, which was later followed by her sister and a few other refugees, and began swimming and pulling the raft towards shore. After 3 hours of swimming, on and off, going back into the raft and back into the sea, swimming through the cold sea with rough waves and salt profusely getting into their eyes, they made it to Lesbos, Greece. From there, through various smuggling and exploitation by smugglers, they were able to reach Germany. Sara's spark to become an activist was prompted after becoming a refugee herself. The help she received from an NGO after arriving to Lesbos, providing her and the other refugees with clothes, food, water, and shelter, had sparked an interest in helping others going on the same journey. She advocated for individuals escaping the violence from their home countries and helping them become accustomed to a new life and receiving the necessary essentials when reaching the Greek border. She wants people to understand what constitutes being and identifying as a refugee, along with the misconceptions that being a refugee and uprooting a life and leaving a familiar culture behind is not always luxurious and ideal. Sara has a remarkable story that is shared with her sister Yusra. She decided to embark on a journey to Germany, along with her sister and cousin, to allow for her and her family to escape the bombings in Damascus. She initiated jumping into the cold, rough waters of the Aegean Sea to alleviate some of the weight from the wear and tear raft. She additionally returned to Greece to help other refugees arriving the same way as she did, despite her traumatic experiments. Even to this day, despite being on trial and being incarcerated for over 100 days without translation or bail, she continues to help the best she can while continuing her education in Berlin. Her bravery is truly inspiring. Sara volunteered at the Moria refugee camp with the Emergency Response Center International, also known as the ERCI, as a translator for the medical team. She provided supplies such as clothing, showers, water, and other essentials for refugees who used the same path as she did to escape their home countries. Sara described it as, "You have people who are dying and living in a 4-meter tent with 7 relatives. They have limited access to water. Hygiene is 0. Privacy is 0. Security, 0. Children's rights, 0. Human rights, 0. You feel useless. You feel very useless." Her sister, along with messaging the ERCI, had influenced her to go back to Lesbos and volunteer with them. She wanted to help the people that had helped her when she had first arrived. She remembered how dangerous the waters were and how many people have used those waters to flee and wanted to give them a sense of security when they had made it. Her approach to activism was subtle but loud. She was aiding refugees in the escape of a humanitarian crisis, however, was criminalized for it because it disrupted Greek politics and their immigration policies. Now, she is currently not aiding the ERCI due to pending charges and awaiting trial in Greece. Her priorities now lie with her obtaining her degree from a university in Berlin, but she wishes to continue with her support if and when the charges are dropped. She fears incarceration again, so she is remaining in the shadows for now. This act is an abuse of power by the Greek government and an example of marginalizing groups who are fleeing their countries to escape violence. They are creating a sense of powerlessness by invoking the fear of being arrested for helping others during a humanitarian crisis. In addition to fighting the displacement of Syria and other refugees, Sara focused on racism, sexism, and ageism when living in Europe. Once entering Europe, they were labeled as refugees, and locals, along with the government, refused to help. They were stared at, and people locked their doors and closed their windows when they would walk on by. While residing in a shed in a mechanic shop in Hungary, awaiting to leave for Greece, one of the mechanics attempted to rape Sara's sister until it was stopped by Sara herself. The mechanic had no respect for Yusra. Additionally, Sara was exploited by many smugglers to guarantee transport into neighboring countries across Europe in order for them to reach Germany. In addition, many of the refugees who passed away using the Aegean Sea as the means of transport were under 18 in an attempt to gain the family reunion visa from Germany. There was no aid in transportation to get to Germany. They were all alone. Education is key to advance the effectiveness of advocacy. Gaining awareness about the culture that is experiencing oppression, violence, and prejudice is crucial to advocating for those who may need it more. Understanding motivations for why these refugees must escape and why entering a country is crucial to survival. And we must understand also the mental toll that it has for refugees to leave everything behind and start a new life in a new country from an etic and emic perspective. This allows for a new point of view on how refugees can leave their familiar culture in their home country and must make or adapt to a new culture after being displaced in fear for their safety and survival. Thank you for listening. I hope you were able to learn more about Sara.